What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. A lot of you have wanted me to do a golf club video for a long time, reasons why I buy them and what some of the good brands and items to purchase are. A lot of it really comes down to what kind of quality all of the clubs are in, but I have a handful here that you can see, and I'm going to go into as much detail as I can as to why these ones are the ones that I ended up purchasing. So let's get into it. The first one I want to get into is actually an entire set of irons. As you can see here, it is a set of Nike irons. The reason why I purchased these specifically is because Nike does not make equipment anymore. They only make apparel. So there are still some people out there that are looking for Nike equipment, and because, like I mentioned, they do not make them anymore, it makes these a little bit more rare. If you look at the grips are practically brand new. They are Golf Pride grips. Those are the #1 grip in golf. So these alone are probably worth about $10 to $13 per grip, and every single one of the clubs has them on there. The only downfall to this is that this set of irons does not include a pitching wedge. So it is not technically an entire set. If you are a golfer though, and you know anything about it, you can get wedges, which is what we will get into later, and those have different degrees. The degrees mean what distance from the green you would hit the club. So the higher degree, the farther away from the green you will hit the club. So this set is a 3-iron, as you can see here, through a 9-iron. They are stiff shaft, which is for faster swinging players. So that's definitely something I took into consideration, because a lot of younger players, you know, my age, younger, sometimes even a little bit older, want the stiff shaft. There are also regular shaft clubs, and those are for, you know, slower swingers, and they are definitely more forgiving clubs. So these ones, the condition is not ideal. There are a couple chips and stuff like that, but they are an older model. So of course I'm not looking to get top dollar for these, but I did purchase them for $45, and they are going online for anywhere between $100 to maybe $200 to the right buyer. But because they are missing a pitching wedge, they are a little bit less. So I would get rid of these for even $100, $150. The next club I want to go over is a putter. So what this club is used for is when you are on the green, which is the putting surface, you actually use this to putt the ball into the hole. That's how you finish out a golf hole. So this is probably the best style club for putters. It is an Odyssey putter, and as you can see, it's got a super stroke grip. This is all just comes down to really what you feel with the putter. But if you look at the actual putter itself, it's not a mallet style putter similar to this one. So it really just comes down to preference. But if you look at the club face, it is in ideal condition, as well as the rest of the club. I mean, it's, you know, it doesn't really look like it's been used at all. So something like this is definitely what you would want to look for purchasing down at the swap meet. One that's in this good of condition and one of the newer models is going to be really difficult to find, because anybody else down there that knows anything about golf clubs is definitely going to purchase this if it is the right price. But Odyssey is definitely a brand that you want to look for when it comes to putters, which actually brings me into one of the next putters that I want to talk about, is this Ping putter. So Ping is also a really good brand. They make iron sets as well as drivers, but this is a putter. What's really cool about this one is that it's actually more of a vintage style. So this is kind of a collector's item. I didn't really know that at the time, but the guy only wanted $5 for these. So any golf clubs that you can get for 10 and under, it's definitely worth taking the gamble. Then when I came back and actually looked this one up, I was surprised to see that it's going for, you know, $150, $200 to the right buyer because of its vintage status. So if you look at the front of this, there's not any markings on it like this one. So this is an old school vintage style, but like I mentioned, Ping is an awesome brand that you want to look for when it comes to putters, and the style of this one is the blade style putter, which is what I prefer, but like I also mentioned, people have different shapes and different style putters because of their preference. So it really comes down to what you like. So when you purchase a putter like this, it might not sell immediately. You kind of have to wait for the correct buyer to find it and want to purchase it. But don't look past these ones when it comes to looking for putters at the swap meet. The next thing I want to get into is probably what I find the most at the flea markets and swap meets. It is drivers. If you look at this one, it is a TaylorMade burner. So it is a older model of TaylorMade, but TaylorMade is probably one of the most recognizable golf brands next to Titleist. But for me personally, I really like playing TaylorMade clubs. This one was in really good condition. If you look at the face, this is actually where you make contact with the ball. So you want to make sure that the face of the club is in really good condition. Otherwise, you know, buyers might not want to purchase it because it could impact how you strike the ball. The top of the club is in fantastic condition as well as the bottom. So really when you're purchasing drivers, it kind of comes down to the condition that the club is in. What's really cool about these kind of clubs is that you can change out the shaft of the club. So this shaft is actually a Flex X shaft, which is kind of in between a stiff and a regular. So for a player like me, I prefer to play stiff shaft clubs. So if I wanted to, I could actually detach this head, put a new shaft on this club, and then it would work for me. So when you're selling them, it doesn't necessarily matter what shaft it is unless someone is looking to purchase the entire golf club, but you really could just sell the head alone if you wanted to. I also looked at the grip of this club. This is not a TaylorMade grip, so it looks like this is also an aftermarket grip, which this one would probably go anywhere between $8 and $10. So I picked up this club for $5 as well. It's actually going for about $65 online. I would even sell it as low as $50 because something like this is not one of the new state-of-the-art drivers, but it's definitely still something that a typical golfer would use. Another style of driver is actually another TaylorMade driver. This is a TaylorMade slider driver. This one is a little bit newer in terms of the technology. It is also a regular shaft, but like the last one I talked about, you can actually detach the head and you can put on a new shaft if you would like. What's really cool about this one as well is I'm going to try and get up and show you. If you look around the base of the shaft, you can see it says higher, it says STD loft, and lower. The STD actually stands for standard loft. So what you can do as a player is you can choose what degree you want the driver to sit at. So currently it's at 10.5 degrees. I myself, just to compare, I play with a 9-degree driver, so it keeps the ball flight a little lower, more of a stinger status, but that's just preference for my swing. So you can actually manipulate the driver head to perform at a different angle if you would wish. The grip on this one is actually a stock TaylorMade grip, so there's no aftermarket adjustments with this driver, but I did purchase it for $10 and I can probably get about $75 or $80 just based on the condition of the club. If you look at the top, there's no chips, indents, or anything like that, which is definitely what you want to look for because the condition of the club really comes down to how it performs. If there were an indent or a chip or anything like that, then you wouldn't really be able to use the club because it could affect, again, the ball striking. But this one overall, other than the regular flex shaft, for me personally, I wouldn't use, but it is an incredibly good driver for $10, and I'm looking at again, to get about $75, $80 for it. The next thing that I want to get into is actually the golf bags. So this really comes down to condition as well. Along with all these other clubs, you want them to be in the newest and best condition that they can come in. So this bag has a kickstand to it, which is really good if you're walking a course. You can pick it up, set it down, and it will support itself. It also has these slots in here, which is how you can organize your clubs, from the irons and the driver to your wedges and even your putter. This is a Nike golf bag, as you can see the logo right here. So this is going to be a little bit more on the higher end. This brand new would probably go for about $140 to $170. It's in really good condition. All the zippers work. There's actually a cooler pouch in here, which is really awesome. If you're out on the course on a hot day, it'll keep your beverages cool for you. What you really want to do when purchasing a bag is look at the condition as well as check the pockets, because a lot of golfers just toss stuff in here, so you really don't know what you're going to find when it comes to looking through the pockets. This one I might actually keep for myself, because what I have is a cart bag. It does not have this kickstand, and I've always kind of been looking for one with this kickstand so that I can walk a course and play more comfortably than having to lay down my bag every single time. But definitely a brand, again, that you want to look for is Nike when it comes to bags. These are a little bit more difficult to sell on eBay just because of the size. Having to ship something like this would run, you know, $50, $60. So if you do find a good bag like this, I would suggest putting it up on maybe Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist to keep it local, so that you can do a local pickup if somebody wants to purchase it. And finally, the last thing that I want to get into is wedges. These are my favorite clubs to hit, because you're going to hit your wedges anywhere from 100 and less yards out from the green. The first one that I ended up picking up is a Cleveland wedge. For me personally, that's the style that I like to play. You can get tailor-made wedges, tieless wedges. There's a huge array based on your swing, what you could purchase. But for me, I like playing Cleveland's. This is a 54 degree. So for the standard golfer, you would probably hit this anywhere between, you know, 75 and 100 yards out from the green. If you look at the bottom, there's a little bit of wear on it, but it really comes down to the face, because these clubs you're really able to get some spin on and just kind of play whatever shot you want to. It's in really good condition on the face, and what also you want to look at is the bounce of the club. To an amateur, it might not really matter what bounce the club has, but to somebody that's been playing for a while, it means a whole lot. So if you're going to look at the degree right here, you can see it's a 54 degree, and then right underneath it says 14. The bounce of this club is 14, which means how this is your bounce essentially right here. It's how this is going to impact the ground or the sand if you're hitting it out of a bunker. It doesn't matter a whole lot when it comes to purchasing. You really just want to look at what brand the club is. This one cost me $5, and it's going online between $30 and $40, so this should be a pretty solid return. Another wedge that I picked up is probably the most popular and expensive wedges. It is a Titleist Voki Design. If you're familiar with golf at all, Voki is actually the individual that designs these clubs, very similar to Scotty Cameron putters. Those putters are extremely expensive, but Scotty Cameron is actually the guy that designs and handcrafts those putters. So when it comes to the Voki Design wedges, these go for a pretty solid price. If you look at the face, there's really no abnormalities or anything on it. If you look at, again, the bounce of this club, there's really, you know, not a whole lot of dings or anything on it. I mean, this is in pretty solid condition. So as you can see right here, that is a 56 degree. So you're going to hit this one as you get closer to the green, and you have your 10 degree bounce right there. So again, when looking for wedges, Titleist is a brand that you absolutely want to look for. And I forgot to show you, as you can see right here, this says Voki Design, which does make this a little bit more expensive. And finally, we're gonna go over another Voki Design wedge. This one is actually an S grind. So like I mentioned before, the face of your wedge definitely matters when it comes to spin. So the S grind actually has to do with the spin of the club. For a more experienced player, you know what you can do with certain clubs, if you can spin it, hit it a certain distance, anything like that. So again, when you're looking for wedges, Titleist, Voki Design. This one I think I picked up for about 10 bucks, and I can get anywhere between 50 and 60 for this one, so that was definitely a solid return. So I hope everybody enjoyed learning a little bit more about the clubs. I hope that helps for when you go to the swap meet or flea market yourself, and now you kind of know what to look for. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop a comment below and I'll try and answer as many as I can. I'm by no means a professional when it comes to finding golf clubs or picking the right ones. Sometimes I just kind of pick what looks good and what's in the best condition and see if they go for any money. But I have been playing golf for quite a long time, so I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to which ones to purchase. So definitely keep your eyes out when you're at the swap meet. This is probably what I get my highest return on when selling on eBay, and I hope that that's information that you yourself can take to the next swap meet that you visit. So if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, drop a comment below, and turn on your notifications so you know when I post my next video. Thanks for watching.